Okay, guys. Hey, this just in. I know I have it scheduled for 3:15 Eastern Standard Time, but this is happening right now. So I definitely wanted to hop on and bring it to you as it's happening. Welcome, welcome.
Recording in progress. Thank you for coming today. I'm attorney Gloria Allred, and with me is our client, plaintiff Thalia Graves. Today we filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, for our client, plaintiff Thalia Graves, who is given permission to use her name. The case number of the 26-page complaint is 1:24 CV 07201. In her lawsuit, Thalia, through her attorneys, sues Sean Diddy Combs, also known as the defendant, and another individual and other entities. The complaint alleges in part in the first cause of action that defendant Combs and another defendant committed a, quote, violation of New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act by viciously and violently forcing sexual contact, oral sex, and sexual intercourse on the plaintiff, end quote. In addition, the complaint alleges in the second cause of action that defendant Combs and another defendant committed a violation of New York civil rights law, quote, section 52-B, end quote, by, quote, raping plaintiff and recording it. Defendants caused plaintiff to be depicted in a video image, unclothed and with intimate body parts exposed, and engaged in sexual conduct with another person, end quote. The lawsuit also alleges that, quote, defendant Combs and another defendant published and or disseminated the videos without plaintiff's knowledge or consent. On information and belief, defendants have continued to disseminate the video, including by selling it as pornography through the present, end quote. In our complaint, we ask that, quote, defendants should be ordered to account for and destroy all copies of the video that are in their actual or constructive possession, custody, or control, end quote. And that, quote, defendants should be temporarily and permanently enjoined from further disseminating or publishing any intimate videos of plaintiff, end quote. We also allege in the third cause of action that Combs and another defendant committed a violation of New York City Administrative Code, section 10-180, quote, recording and showing others the video of themselves violently raping the plaintiff. And the defendants disclosed an intimate image of plaintiff without her consent, end quote. As a result of these and other allegations in our complaint, we request that judgment be entered against defendants as follows. Awarding compensatory damages for all physical injuries, emotional distress, psychological harm, anxiety, humiliation, physical and emotional pain and suffering, family and social disruption, and other harm in an amount to be determined at trial. Awarding punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Awarding attorneys' fees and costs pursuant to any applicable statute or law, including under New York City Administrative Code, section 10-1104, New York Civil Rights Law, section 52-B2, New York City Administrative Code, Section 10-180, and any other applicable statute or law. We're also seeking additional relief that the court may deem just and proper. As a result of what is alleged in the lawsuit, Thalia alleges that she has suffered and continues to suffer, among other damages, emotional harm, including mental anguish, emotional distress, humiliation, and physical damage. In a few minutes, Thalia will speak to the impact and harm that she has suffered and continues to suffer. She will take this courageous step because she thinks that it is important that the public understand the impact that rape and other criminal acts have on those who have been victimized. Often victims do not speak publicly about the specific damages that criminal acts cause them. Some of the many reasons that victims do not speak out publicly about this include being ashamed or shamed for this. But we believe that victims should not be shamed, and instead those who committed the criminal acts against them should be ashamed and take responsibility for the harm that they have caused victims to suffer. We are very proud of Thalia for speaking out today in order to help victims of rape and other acts of sexual violence against them. In addition, we thank our co-counsel, Marianne Wang, Heather Gregoria, and Jasly Liriano for their exceptional legal work on this complaint. Our goal for Thalia is very simple. We want justice for her, and we are looking forward to winning it. It is long overdue for those who have caused her to suffer to be held accountable.
Okay, so now she's going to speak.
The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words. It goes beyond just physical harm caused by and during the assault. It's a pain that reaches into your very core of who you are and leaving emotional scars that may never fully heal. Some of the hardest parts of this pain are the shame and the guilt I have experienced that plays a negative part in my day-to-day ability to function properly. Being blamed, questioned, and threatened has often made me feel worthless, isolated, and sometimes responsible for what happened to me. My family issues made the pain even worse. I was already going through a divorce at the time of the assault and did not get the support that I needed. I was also faced with disbelief and judgment. This has put a strain on my selection of men and relationships. Where many relationships became aggressive and abusive, which has made me feel even more alone in my struggles. I go through spells of being distant and withdrawn that it's sometimes so hard to leave my house. The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health. I've had PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I'm emotionally scarred. It has been hard for me to trust others, to form healthy relationships, or even feel safe in my own skin. Flashbacks, nightmares, and intrusive thoughts make me feel like it's a constant struggle. I also suffer with physical problems such as chronic pain, sexual discomfort. The violation I have experienced during the assault has had lasting effects on my body, causing ongoing health problems and complications. The combination of physical and emotional pain has created a cycle of suffering from which it is so hard to break free. I want to continue on this journey towards recovery and healing. I'm glad that he is locked up, but that's a temporary feeling of relief.
Dahlia is not going to be taking any questions. I'll be happy to take some questions.
Gloria, can you talk about the context of this assault? What, where, when, what occasion?
Question is, can I speak about the context of this alleged assault? No.
Gloria, can you just speak on, I know it's difficult for your client going through this, but what prompted her to come forward now?
It was time to file this lawsuit.
Gloria, what do you know about the video that was allegedly recorded during the audition?
Question is, what do I know about the video that was recorded?
Yeah, what do you know, where is it now? Is it still, where is the video?
Um, there are many details in the complaint.
Gloria, did the
The
allegation,
complaint alleges that it was taken without her knowledge and consent, that she wouldn't have consented, that it was then published and viewed by others, and may still be out there being viewed.
Gloria, did the allegations in this complaint overlap in any way with the criminal charges against Mr. Combs?
The question is, does this complaint overlap with the criminal charges that have been filed? My understanding of the criminal charges are that the charges are sex trafficking, RICO, and transportation for a prostitute. We are not alleging any of those criminal charges in our complaint.
Has she been in touch with federal prosecutors?
Question is, have I been in touch?
I see you and your client been in touch with federal prosecutors about her allegation.
About this? have no comment.
Lori, what about a grand jury?
Pardon me?
Grand jury, federal prosecutors, or grand jury, as Ms. Graves spoke to either?
Is the question, has she testified before the grand jury? Is that the question? Let's put this way. I never comment on whether any of my clients have testified before the grand jury or will testify before the grand jury, since the grand jury is a secret proceeding.
Gloria, this other defendant in the video, alleged defendant, is this a celebrity?
It is the other defendant alleged to be in the video, and what was the remainder of your question?
Is that person, that alleged defendant, is that person a celebrity?
Is the person that has not been named by me a celebrity? Not as far as I know.
Gloria, as disturbing as the video may be, have you yourself laid eyes on the video?
Have I looked at the video? No. I have not viewed the video, nor do I wish to view the video, nor should anyone else view the video, with the exception of if law enforcement and a court believe that they should and are permitted to view a pornographic video as evidence in the case. If they have it, then that would be it.
Lori, just to be clear,
We don't ever view pornographic videos, even if they might end up being evidence in the case. And we do not transmit any such video, if we have it, to any other person, because we do not think it is permitted under the law.
Gloria, Elizabeth Wagmeister from CNN.
Would you please speak up? It's hard to hear you.
Yes, sorry, I'm back here and a bit short. In the complaint, you noted that your client learned about this video in November 2023. That is around the time of the first public lawsuit, at least, against Sean Combs from his ex-girlfriend Cassie. I'm curious how you and your client learned about the existence of this video.
You're saying that this incident alleged to have occurred about the time of another lawsuit having the, I'm sorry, I can't understand your question.
Per the complaint, this alleged incident occurred in 2001, but your client learned about the existence of the video in 2023, more than 20 years after. I'm curious how she learned about the existence of that video.
Yeah, so the question is, she alleges that the incident took place in 2001, but you are saying that it is alleged in the complaint that was filed that she learned about it in 2022. And then the question is, how did she learn about it? We have no comment in response to that question.
Gloria, has Diddy reached out to your client?
Excuse me?
Has Diddy reached out to your client?
Question is, has Diddy reached out to her? We will not comment on that either.
Gloria, this is very difficult for your clients, but would you be able to share a little bit of her background? Where did she come from? Or what did she do? Can you give us some details about your client, please?
No, I can't provide further details about where she came from or what she does.
Gloria, to your knowledge, has any law enforcement agency reviewed this video for possible criminal charges?
So is the question, has any criminal law enforcement, has any law enforcement agency
Viewed the video for possible criminal
viewed
charges?
the video? I'm not able to answer that question.
Your client says that she was threatened after this alleged attack. Can you elaborate on those threats?
Question is, can I elaborate on the allegation that she was threatened after the attacks? And no, because really I'm not able to comment on or expand upon any evidence or anything that might have evidentiary value at this time.
Lori, there's an allegation in the lawsuit that the video was made available for sale. Can you elaborate on that? And does Mr. Combs really?
There's an allegation that the video was made available to whom?
For sale?
Oh, that was made available for sale.
That's new. There have been other accusers, other women who have said that they believe they were filmed and the videos were shared, but I think this might be the first complaint allegation that the video was made available for sale somehow.
I have not compared what we have alleged in the lawsuit to what others have previously alleged in their lawsuits. So I can't tell you whether this is the first that has alleged that this video was made available for sale or not.
Would Mr. Combs be involved in that alleged sale?
Yeah. There are no other details that we can provide
So you
in
filed,
reference to the videos.
it today, right? Let's get to that one.
Yes, the lawsuit was filed this morning. And we have a case number, which I have provided, and we will pass around and provide my statement, which includes the case number. And this is part of the first page of the complaint. So you want to stand up and focus? You want to stand up? And there is a redaction on what we're showing you. So just to tell you.
And to your right, please.
This is the first page in part and redacted.
Claudia, to your left, please.
Pardon me?
Claudia, on your right, if you both can look this way. Thank you. Thank you. And right below that.
Oh,
And one more this way, please.
and I'll leave this on the table.
Gloria, there's a few networks here that are Spanish speaking. We're wondering if your client might be able to give us Spanish. You speak Spanish?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I do not understand your question.
After you're done with the English section of the press conference, if your client speaks some Spanish, will she be able to give us a few words in Spanish?
You speak Spanish?
Would
No,
she
she can't.
please pronounce her name on camera just so we have the correct?
Do you want to pronounce your
Talia Graves.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Miss Gloria, are you in contact with the person who told your client about the video described in the lawsuit?
We cannot disclose who we're in contact with in order to have investigated this claim or any investigation that may ensue after this press conference.
Gloria,
I want to add that if any other person has any evidence that might relate to our complaint, we, of course, would be happy to speak on a confidential basis with any person who may wish to contact us and provide us whatever evidence they wish to provide, and we would thank them for it.
Your client has said that she suffered years and years of trauma, depression, anxiety, because of this alleged attack. Did she come to you after the indictment last evening? I'm asking because I'm wondering if those charges.
Okay, the question is, did she come to me after the indictment last week? No.
And as a follow-up, how is your client feeling after those 3 charges were brought against Holmes, even though he denies them?
How is she feeling after
After the charges?
after the criminal charges
Yes.
were filed
Yes.
and that he has been arraigned? Okay. Do you want to comment? No, we're not having her comment. I'm sorry. I would say overall it's been a very stressful and anxiety producing experience, and she's lived with all of it for many years and is reliving it now. I think she did comment on how she felt about the criminal charges at the end of her statement, and I'm not going to ask her to answer any other questions, with all due respect. It's a fair question, but she's just not going to be answering questions today.
Gloria, can you tell us how your client came to meet Diddy?
How can I tell you how my client
met Diddy?
met Diddy? I am not going to expand on those details at this press conference, but any member of the public or press, is of course permitted to see whatever is in the complaint that has been filed in the Southern District of New York.
Gloria, has your client been in contact with any of the victims?
Has my client been in contact with any other victims
Okay.
or alleged victims? I'm unable to comment on.
Oh, absolutely. And I do have that complaint, guys, and I will be reading it here shortly
Because
once it's done.
those would be private conversations. So we will maintain the privacy of those conversations. But one thing I don't know if whomever contacted her wanted their conversation to be confidential, so I can't comment on that. Thank you for the question.
Gloria,
Anything else?
yes, Gloria, this tape, was it secretly made, or was your client aware that she was being taped during the alleged assault, and now it's not out that the tape is out there? Or did she never even know that she was being taped during the alleged assault?
I can't comment on the degree of consciousness or lack of consciousness or awareness of Thalia during the alleged rape and during the alleged video taping of the rape. I can say that she would never have consented to the videotaping and did not consent and did not authorize the videotaping, in the same way that she alleges that she would never have consented to be victimized in the way that she alleges that she was. And I think you could see today how upsetting it was for Thalia to have to learn and experience what she alleges that she did learn and experience from that horrific time.
Talia, I'm sorry, Gloria, are you representing any other women that may also be suing? the
Am
same
I representing any other women
defendant other than her? That are
in
suing
reference
specifically?
to,
Yeah. That are
or
suing
men,
specifically.
or men, in reference to
They-
Diddy? Yes.
So there's other claims, there are other.
This is the first lawsuit that we have filed. And in answer to a question which you have not yet asked, but probably will, am I going to file other lawsuits? I just don't have any comment on that at this time. Any other questions? I think
So I
that
didn't,
will conclude.
I didn't hear you when I asked if you would be able to comment in Spanish if she speaks in Spanish.
No. The answer is no. She is not going to be doing any interviews in English, Spanish, or any other language.
But does she speak Spanish?
But thank you for asking.
Does she speak Spanish?
I don't know. Any other questions?
I just have one last question, Gloria.
Okay.
As far as the video
One
goes,
last question.
One
Go
last
ahead.
question. As far as the video goes, do you know, or does your client know, if there has been more than one copy or multiple people have a version of the video?
I'm not able to comment on whether we know if there is more than one copy of the video. If there is any witness who wishes to contact me confidentially to tell me that they know that someone else has a copy, or that they have seen it or been told that someone else saw it online, we would be happy to speak to that person. Is there any, I think that's all
Gloria,
the
just one
question.
more question. Just for our reporting purposes, is she a New York native?
Is she a New York
Native?
native? I can't tell you at this time if she is a New York native. She does not reside in New York at this time. Okay, thank you so much for coming, and we're going to hand out copies of our statements.
Okay. So that was a press conference between, hold on a second, why are my comments not overlaying, guys? I didn't overlay my comments, so I had to redo that. I had to overlay, but that was the press conference. Miss Talia Graves, that is the plaintiff's name, versus Sean Combs, Joseph Sherman. Joseph Sherman is the other gentleman implicated in this grape. Diddy's House Recordings, Inc., CE OPOC LLC, doing business as Combs Global, FKA Combs Enterprises LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings Inc., Bad Boy Productions, Inc., Bad Boy Books Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Records, LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment, LLC, Bad Boy Productions, LLC, and organizational those 1-10. Okay, so unknown businesses like John Doe, Jane Doe's. Okay, so we're going to get into this complaint that was filed today. Wait a minute, is it today? Yep, the 24th. Filed in the Southern District on the 24th of September. And before I get into this, I want to be clear that a lot of these victims are filing lawsuits based on the law put forth by New York, allowing survivors of assault, SA, rape, and other horrific crimes. New York had allowed a window for survivors to claim civilly against the predator. Now, I want to be clear on something else because I think there's a little bit of confusion in regards to ex trafficking and human trafficking. Many states' remedies, and I looked up all the states. New York, I looked up Florida, and I looked up California. And all of those states, while they have statutes of limitation, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Florida is 21 years or more. California is also 21 years or more. New York is 15 years or less. New York statutes of limitations have been a very big concern for a long time for many people. However, recently, the state of New York opened up a window for women, or individuals, I should say, who have been victimized and allowed them to file civilly in the state of New York. But with the statutes of limitations being stated in each state where potential crimes may have occurred, they indicate that unless, specifically California indicated that unless the victim contacted authorities within 3 years of the assault or the trafficking, they then give them a period of 7 years from the date that they were freed from the situation to file a civil suit. I say all that to clarify for everyone that's like, oh, these women want money. It's all about money. No, this is the way the law is outlined. If you look it up, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is the remedy. I believe that the states are handling it this way because if they file the litigation in civil court and it looks criminal, as with the case with Diddy, then they'll take it up. You understand what I'm saying? Because the statutes, they mention the statutes of limitations in ways that they outline it. I'm trying to find my notes on it right now. But I'm gonna read the complaint and then I'll find the notes on the statutes of limitation. Now, plaintiff Talia Groves, by and through her attorneys, Alfred Marco Goldberg and QT Hecker Wong, LLP, for her complaint alleges as follows. The introduction. In or around the summer of 2001, the plaintiff's life was violently knocked off course when defendants Sean Combs and Joseph Sherman viciously raped her at the Bad Boys Records studio in New York City. Plaintiff was 25 at the time and dating one of Combs's employees, a relationship that Combs exploited to lure plaintiff into meeting with him and Sherman alone. Once they successfully sequestered plaintiff, Combs and Sherman gave plaintiff a drink, likely laced with a drug that eventually caused her to briefly lose consciousness. She awoke to find herself bound and restrained. So she woke up. She's alleging that she woke up bound and restrained. Okay. Combs and Sherman proceeded to brutally sexually abuse and violate plaintiff. Combs mercilessly raped her anally and vaginally. Sherman forcefully slammed plaintiff onto a table, slapped her, and repeatedly thrust his you know what into her mouth. Both men were undeterred by the plaintiff's cries for help throughout this attack. Plaintiff never recovered from defendant's violent rape. She had sideways thoughts and ideation and has received extensive psychological treatment because of the defendant's attack. For decades, she remained silent and did not want to report the crime out of fear that the defendants would use their power to ruin her life, as they had repeatedly, explicitly threatened to do. To this day, plaintiff suffers from severe depression and anxiety and panic attacks, and still lives in fear of the defendants. Any progress plaintiff has made in healing from the attack over the years was dramatically reversed on or around November 27, 2023, when she learned for the first time that Combs and Sherman had video recorded the horrific rape 22 years before and had shown the video to multiple men, seeking to publicly degrade and humiliate both plaintiff and her boyfriend. Plaintiff could not believe that the defendants would record themselves committing such a gruesome crime and then proceed proudly and widely to disseminate the recordings of it. She was distraught and sunk into a deep depression. She again considered sideways. This action seeks redress for defendants brutalizing, misogynistic, and violent attacks on plaintiff, starting in 2001 with their grape and continuing in subsequent years as they compounded her humiliation by showing the video of the essay to others. It says here parties. Plaintiff Talia Groves is a female who resides in Harris County, Texas, and defendant Sean Combs is a male who the information and belief, who on information and belief resides in Los Angeles County, California, though at the time of this filing is incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. On information and belief, at all relevant times, Combs owned and or controlled Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Production Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Books Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Records, Inc., Bad Boy Entertainment, LLC, Bad Boy Productions, LLC, collectively Bad Boy, Diddy's House Recording Studio, Inc., and CE OPCO LLC, doing business as Combs Global, FKA Combs Enterprises LLC, altogether the Combs Corporations. The fact of Combs' ownership and titles at the Combs Corporations enabled him to commit the unlawful XXX violence against plaintiff described herein, and or to harass and subsequently intimidate her into silence after the grape. Defendant Joseph Sherman, aka Big Joe, is a male who, on information and belief, resides in Westchester County, New York. On information and belief, Sherman was employed by Combs and or by the Combs corporations during the relevant period. The facts of Combs's ownership and titles and Sherman's titles at the Combs corporations enabled Sherman to commit the unlawful XXX violence against plaintiff described herein, and or to harass her and subsequently intimidate her into silence after the grape. Defendant Diddy's House Recordings, Inc., Diddy's House, is a domestic business corporation that is incorporated in New York, and on information or belief, now has its principal place of business at 9255 Sunset Boulevard, second floor, West Hollywood, California, 90009. Combs is listed as the CEO in public filings with a listed address of 1710 Broadway, New York, 119. At the time of the events alleged herein, Diddy's House was a world-class recording studio owned by Combs, located at 321 West 44th Street, Suite 201, New York, 136. On information and belief at the relevant times, Bad Boy and Combs together owned and operated Daddy's House. On information and belief, the Bad Boy Records studio was located on the premises of Daddy's House. Combs and Sherman used the Daddy's House premises and their ownership and titles at Daddy's House to commit the unlawful XXX violence against the plaintiff described herein, and or to harass and subsequently intimidate her into silence after the great defendant COOPCE. Okay, I think they're just going through all of the ownership and saying the same thing. So I'm not going to keep reading that. But they're going after, hold on, let me make sure. Oh, no, wait, I think this is a little different. I'll read this part. Defendant OPCO LLC, doing business as Combs Global, FKA Combs Enterprise LLC. Combs Global is a limited liability company incorporated in Delaware that has its principal place of business at 9255 Sunset Boulevard, second floor, West Hollywood, California, 90069. On information and belief, all members of Combs Global are citizens of Delaware, New York, and or California. On information or belief, Combs Global is an alter ego for Combs and or a successor in interest to Combs's other corporations, and or was established or used by Combs for the purposes of moving, disposing of, and or in insulating his assets, including in connection with his criminal activities to avoid liability. Combs Global currently owns, controls, and or oversees Bad Boy and Combs's other business ventures in the music industry, fashion industry, fragrance industry, beverage, marketing, film, and television and media industries. As a part of his renewed Bad Boy record label and brand, Combs has established several corporate entities under the Bad Boy name over the past few decades, included but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Production Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Books Holdings, Inc., Bad Boy Records, LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment, LLC, and Bad Boy Productions, LLC, together Bad Boy. On information and belief, all Bad Boy corporate entities are alter egos for Combs, are controlled and or directed by Combs, and or were established or used by Combs for the purposes of moving, disposing of, or insulating his assets, including in connection with his criminal activities and to avoid liability. On information and belief, co- um, or belief, all active bad boy entities are now owned and or controlled by Combs and or by Combs Global. Combs and Sherman used the Bad Boy premises recording studio and their ownership and titles at Bad Boy to commit the unlawful XXX violence against plaintiff described herein and or to harass and subsequently intimidate her into silence after the grape. Let's see. So what she's alleging is that his ownership and holdings furthered allowed him to assault this woman, put her into uh make her silent, force her into silence. Let's see, jurisdiction. So they talk jurisdiction, which of course, because the grape happened in New York. So now I want to skip to the demand. For those of you who are just getting in here, Talia Graves filed a civil lawsuit against Sean P. Diddy Combs today in the Southern District. This is what I'm reading through right now. Now, I want to get to the jury demand. It says, plaintiff hereby demands a trial by jury on her claims in this action. Okay. She's requesting a trial by jury. Okay. Plaintiff's family immigrated to New York when plaintiff was a teenager. This is her background, guys. Teenager. When she was a teenager, in connection to her mother's work. Her family ultimately settled in Rego Park, Queens, where she completed her education and where she was living when she met Combs. Defendant Combs, also known by his stage names Puff Daddy, Puffy, P. Diddy, Brother Love, or Love, is a prominent rapper, record executive, and businessman. He rose to fame in the 90s with his record label Bad Boys and continued to be a notable figure in the music and entertainment industry in the following years. Combs has continued to amass wealth and power through his business ventures in the music, fashion, fragrance, beverage, marketing, film, television, and media industries. Let's see. I want to see what she's talking about, how much Bad Boys sold. Defendant. Okay, defendant Sherman, also known as Big Joe, was employed by Combs as his bodyguard and head of security during the relevant time period described herein. Whoa, so he was his security. Okay, so he was his security. So that's why he was there with Combs. It says, okay, it goes back through the allegation. A few hours later, Combs arrived. Okay. It's going through the allegation. It says defendants trick, drug, and violently raped plaintiff. In or around the summer of 2001, plaintiff received a call from Combs concerning her boyfriend's employment at Bad Boy. He told her he wanted to meet her in person to discuss her boyfriend's supposed performance issues. Her boyfriend was determined to climb up the ladder at Combs's records label as his romantic partner. Plaintiff was committed to helping him. Plaintiff agreed to meet with Combs. In retrospect, it was evidently a sick and twisted way of using his ownership and title at Bad Boy and its affiliated entities to abuse plaintiff and also show his power and ability to humiliate her boyfriend, his executive. A few hours later, Combs arrived at plaintiff's mother's residence in Queens with Sherman, who was employed by Combs as his bodyguard at the time. Sherman was driving a SUV and Combs was in the back seat. After plaintiff entered the vehicle, Combs offered her a glass of wine, which she accepted. Combs began discussing his alleged concerns about her boyfriend's performance. At work, as plaintiff drank what had been handed to her, she started to feel lightheaded, dizzy, and physically weak. In retrospect, it is clear that Combs had caused a drug to be put in the plaintiff's drink, as a few sips of wine had never impacted her in that way. Combs and Sherman drove plaintiff to the Bad Boy record studio in Manhattan. When they arrived and plaintiff tried to get out of the car, she realized that she was feeling odd and found it difficult to walk. She assumed this was her fault and did her best to act normal and followed Combs as he led her eventually to a couch in a private room in the Bad Boy studio. She later came to understand this was Combs's personal lounge and office at Bad Boy Studio. Combs sat on the couch next to plaintiff and continued speaking to her. Plaintiff began feeling even more woozy and sedated. Then she lost consciousness. When plaintiff regained consciousness, she was naked and her hands were tied behind her back with what felt like a plastic grocery bag. Plaintiff shouted for help. In response, Sherman lifted her up from the couch and forcibly slammed her face down on what was apparently a pool table. Shortly thereafter, Combs entered the room naked. Combs reached for a container of lubricant that smelled like menthol and proceeded to apply it to his you know what. He then bent plaintiff over the table, causing her feet to dangle above the floor, forcibly held her down, and anally penetrated her without her consent. Plaintiff is 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighed only 103 pounds at the time. Plaintiff was unable to move, totally overpowered physically, in addition to being drugged and bound. Plaintiff screamed out of pain, but Combs continued to violently anally grape her. He easily physically overpowered her, smashing her head down on the pool table while she was tied and wiggling out from under him. When she was when she tried to wiggle from out of under him. During the brutal attack, plaintiff vomited into her mouth and on the table. At one point, she involuntarily defecated. Combs was undeterred. Ugh, he wiped himself off. Ew. Applied more lubricant, and without any acknowledgement of plaintiff's distress, proceeded to vaginally grape her without her consent. Plaintiff experienced intense pain, burning sensations in her vagina and anus. Plaintiff continued to scream for help because of the extreme pain she felt as Combs penetrated her over and over. She then lost consciousness again. Next time she regained consciousness, plaintiff was on the couch and Sherman was standing in front of her with his bare what in her face. Sherman slapped plaintiff in her face and forcibly inserted his what into her mouth. Sherman slapped her yet again, continued to thrust his what into the plaintiff's mouth. Plaintiff once again lost consciousness. When she next awoke, plaintiff was on the couch, naked and alone in the room. Plaintiff was in severe pain and distress. Her anus and vagina burned. Her face and wrists were bruised, and her genital area smelled strongly of menthol. She felt a liquid, presumably semen, dripping out from inside of her. Her dress was torn over her. Her purse was on the couch next to her. And her bra was on the floor nearby. She did not see her underwear. Terrified that Combs and Sherman would return, plaintiff quickly got dressed and bolted out of the studio room where she had been raped. Still dizzy and weak, plaintiff called a livery driver that her family regularly hired and knew well. The driver picked her up from outside Bad Boy Studio. She was disheveled, crying uncontrollably, and suffering from agonizing pain. The driver drove her to the hospital and tried to convince her to report the grape and get a grape kit, but she was unable to leave the car, shaking and crying hysterically and terrified of what Combs would do to her and her family if she reported him. Mm. I don't know what is going to come of Sean P. Diddy Combs, but all I can say is he's in a lot of trouble, honey. He's in a lot of trouble, honey. Sweetie Diddy is in trouble. Baby Diddy is in trouble. He is in a whole lot of trouble. This is the 9th lawsuit. This is number 9 of the civil lawsuits filed in submitted against him. This is number 9. This is number 9. Now, the chain of events, let's go through the chain of events real quick. November 16, 2023, Cassandra Ventura files a lawsuit alleging horrible attacks and abuse. Cassandra Ventura, a singer and model known as Cassie, who dated Combs for more than a decade, files a lawsuit against him alleging incidents of rape and physical assault between 2007 and 2018. She describes a cycle of abuse, violence, and trafficking. After being lured into a fast-paced and drug-fueled lifestyle, allegedly designed to keep her compliant, including engaging in acts with others against her will. The lawsuit also alleged that he destroyed the car of another successful U.S. rapper, Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mascudi, to deter him from seeing Ventura. Combs denied allegations. The severity of Ventura's allegations are the most serious Combs has faced. He was charged with assault in 1998 and sentenced to an anger management class. In 1999, he was acquitted of pum charges following a nightclub puming in 2009. An ex-girlfriend, Gina Heim, spoke to a blogger alleging emotional and physical abuse during her relationship with Combs, but no legal case was filed. November 17th, 2023, Ventura settles the lawsuit. Ventura and Combs announced their lawsuit has been settled with undisclosed terms. Ventura said in a statement, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control." On November 24th, 2023, 2 new lawsuits are filed over attacks. Combs is accused of SA dating back to 1991 in 2 new lawsuits. One is an anonymous woman who claimed Combs and another man coerced her into X. The other by Joy Dickerson Neal, who alleged Combs drugged and essayed her, as well as filming the incident and showing it to others. Later, on April 26, 2024, Combs's lawyer files a motion to dismiss the elements of Dickerson Neal's lawsuit. These lawsuits and some of the other subsequent ones filed against Combs were made possible by the New York state laws such as the Adult Survivors Act and the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act that allowed for lawsuits alleging SA to be made even if the statute of limitations, the window of time for the allegations to be originally made, had expired. November 29, 2023, Combs steps down from his position as the chair of Revolt. This is a TV network he founded. The following week, Hulu scraps plans for a reality show produced by James Corden's company, Falwell 73, that was to focus on Combs and his family. December 6, 2023, Combs denies all allegations. He denies all allegations made against him in the preceding weeks, including in a new lawsuit filed by another anonymous woman who alleged Combs gang raped her and ex-trafficked her when she was 17. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth, Combs said. February 26, 2024, Combs is sued by Rodney Jones, Little Rod. Y'all remember the Little Rod Jones? He claimed that he was grooming him for, hanky panky and that lifestyle. He claims that he attempted to, and he alleges quite a few other things in the lawsuit. Now, on August 26th, Combs calls on a judge to, oh, wait, hold on a second. Yeah, with Rodney Jones. He calls for a judge to throw out the case. March 25th, 2024, raids occur on Diddy's homes in LA and Miami. This is when they went in to try to get evidence. The feds, Homeland Security, all of them jumped in there, try to get evidence, right? And there were no charges brought. Now, May 17th, 2024, CNN published the shocking video that we saw of Diddy assaulting Cassie. It was the footage from the LA hotel in 2016. The following day, Sean P. Diddy Combs apologizes. We saw that lackluster apology. He said, I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. On May 22nd, 2024, Crystal McKinney files a suit. The model Crystal McKinney filed a lawsuit against Combs alleging that he drugged her and forced her to perform fellatio on him in 2003. June 7, 2024, Howard University revokes an honorary degree that they had given to Diddy. They also returned a $1 million donation, and they ended the scholarship program that's in his name. The following week, Combs is ordered to return the ceremonial key to New York City by Mayor Eric Adams, who wrote that he was deeply disturbed by the video footage of Combs assaulting Ventura. July 4th, 2024, Combs says he is innocent as he faces 8th lawsuit. Via his lawyers, Combs proclaims his innocence. And this lawsuit is from Adria, I believe it's Audrey English, who claims that she was groomed into ex trafficking over time in events between 2004 and 2009. September 10th, 2024, Combs a no-show at a hearing. Now, this was the hearing. I think I need to, I'm going to play the hearing probably tomorrow for you guys, but this is the hearing of Derek Lee Cardillo Smith, who is currently incarcerated for life. He alleged that he was drugged and essayed by Combs at a party in Detroit in 1997. The no-show led to a default judgment against Combs in the amount of $100 million to be paid to Cordello Smith, who is currently, as I said, incarcerated on an unrelated case. Now, Combs and his attorneys are working to overthrow that ruling. I don't know if he will get that done, but they're working on it. September 11, 2004, another lawsuit is filed by Dawn Richard. Following Ventura, another high-profile musician files her own lawsuit against Combs. Dawn Richard, who was a part of Combs's signed girl band, Danity Kane, and later a trio with him called Diddy Dirty Money, alleges that Combs SA'd her on multiple occasions. On September 16th, Combs is arrested and charged in New York. He is charged with 3 counts. The first, 3 counts of ex trafficking, and racketeering in a federal indictment. Now, guys, the reason I don't think that there will be a bigger, well, actually, hold on. Let's finish the timeline and I'll tell y'all why I don't feel there'll be any other indictment. September 17th, 2024, Combs is denied bail. And on the 18th, on that day, his attorneys argued and wanted to appeal. So the very next day they got a hearing. Same thing happened. He didn't get bail. Now, honestly, guys, I don't believe that this man is going to get a bail. And I don't believe that the feds are going to do a superseding indictment. If they do a superseding indictment, it's going to be only to name co-conspirators. Because the racketeering conspiracy charge, it is so broad. It covers a multitude of things. Let's see. All right, so I'm looking it up right now, right? It says, what is racketeering? And racketeering charges can include criminal activities involving extortion and a racket on an organized scheme to extract illegal profits. The most common types of racketeering are related to organized crime syndicates, such as drug cartels or mobs. It's just broad. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Because I haven't touched base with y'all. Y'all be sure to hit that like button for me. I'm about to get up out of here, but I appreciate all of you being here and engaging in the conversation. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please be sure to subscribe today. Set your notifications to all so that you're notified when I go live or add new content. Guys, thank you for being here. Replay gang, let me know what your thoughts are. This again is the 9th lawsuit filed against Sean P. Diddy Combs, another victim. Everybody keeps saying, oh, the feds only have Cassie. The feds only have Cassie. That's not true, y'all. That's not true. The feds have way more than Cassie. They have way more than Cassie. Okay? All right, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here. He'll be in jail until trial for sure. All right, guys.